Tonight we have a very special guest, a singer, a producer, a writer, and now podcaster.
Wow. Yeah. Am I happy with that? I think so. Anyway, thank you for the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Dan Smith from Bastille. Dan, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm really good. Last time I saw you, we were at a party. The party was a Wombats after party.
Yes.
I can't remember when it was, but it feels like a very long time ago.
It would have been ages ago, wouldn't it?
I didn't realise you were such good friends with Murph and the boys. Do you still hang out? Are you still talking?
Yeah, we played a lot of shows with them. We have a producer in common, and they've recorded a few albums at our studio in South London, so they're hilarious. So I love getting to see them.
Let's talk about the album in a little bit. You've just done the candlelit sessions.
Yes.
How was it?
It was great. Yeah, we were mainly, well, exclusively in like Scotland and the north of England. But yeah, it was awesome. We just got to play with loads of fake candles in big echoey churches, which was for this album was perfect. Yeah, it was well fun. Very weird, different vibe though. Like having a silent church full of people. There was a lot of swearing on my part because I think the more awkward I feel, which is generally always, the more I just F and blind and swear. And I'd sort of look up and see a giant Jesus made of gold on a crucifix literally immediately above us. A few sound checks where we had to stop for a church service to happen. As someone that sort of played every sort of small club, venue, pub around the UK and upwards, it's just a bit of a weird side quest.
I was going to say, because you really have, and you even just played a little show where you did at least one song in the middle of the ocean.
Oh yeah. Right.
Is there anywhere left to play? Anywhere you want to play? What do you want to do?
Oh, that's such a good question. Space, underwater, no, I don't know. Yeah, we've been so lucky to get to play all over the world and so many different festivals and stuff. So I know Woody, our drummer, will be like, I want to play Wembley one day. But that's a really mean impression of him. He doesn't sound like that, to be clear. Yeah, I don't know. Where would you want to play?
You've done a great bit of politics on me there and thrown it back. But as a performer, I can tell you. I tell you what, one thing that I've really enjoyed in my life is the Royal Albert Hall. I've been on stage once there. I did a Teenage Cancer Trust gig that I hosted there long time ago. It's an amazing place.
It's incredible. I saw Florence and the Machine with an orchestra there a few weeks ago, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So public service broadcasting to a few proms there, which is very fancy. Yeah, we got to play there a few years ago with an orchestra when we did a kind of reorchestrated version of all of our music. And yeah, we get to go back and play as part of this show for Streets of London in December, which I'm very excited about. It's such a fancy room.
Yeah.
I think this album has kind of opened up slightly fancier red velvet rooms to us that I'm just not used to, but it's, I feel like a bit of an imposter, but it's very fun to get to play in them.
So you are back with this brand new album. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're about to play the single Blue Sky and the Painter. I know you've talked already about this track.
Yeah.
But what has inspired it? Can you go into a bit of detail around the Painter and everything that comes along with that story?
This song is about the painter Edvard Munch, who some people will know from painting The Scream, which, like, some other people might know from the emoji, The Scream. He was a very successful artist in his time in Norway, and he talked about having depression and the experience of his relationship with depression, which obviously isn't fun at all to live with, but he sort of credits a lot of the work that he was able to do that defined his life and enabled him to sort of have the career he had and the reputation he had. He sort of credits his depression with that. So I guess it's like the complicated duality of like having a thing that is both a real burden but also in some ways, in a sort of twisted way, kind of helpful and enabling. There's a line in the song that's like, would I be who I am without the sadness in me? Which kind of sums it up, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, let's play it. Yeah. Here we go. This is new music from Bastille on the Radio X Evening Show. That was Bastille, Blue Sky and the Painter on Radio X. I am joined tonight by Dan Smith from the band. I want to touch on the album, Ampersand. It is out tomorrow. What can you tell us about this album, then? Can you give us a bit more of it? I know it's sort of a difficult description, and I know you're sort of very aware of time, but...
Yeah, it's a series of short stories about all these different people I think are fascinating, but also just a bunch of hopefully really great songs. And I guess it's quite intimate, it's quite raw. You can hear the sound of like the rain on the roof of the house we recorded in. You can hear the sort of creaking of piano stools and fingers on guitars. It's quite acoustic, but there are moments where it just explodes. There's this song Blue Sky and the Painter. There's another one called The Drawbridge and the Baroness that is absolutely bonkers, and I love it so much, and I think it's probably a bit bigger and heavier than people would expect from us. But then there's also really sort of tiny, intimate moments as well. It's different to a Bastille record. I think it's a bunch of the songs we just did, 3 people in a room together, and so there's all these different kind of elements to it, but it's much sort of rougher and rawer. And I'm super proud of it. I had the best time making it with some really amazing musicians and friends, and it forced me to learn the guitar, which everyone assumes I can play the guitar, which I thank them for, but I can't. I never wanted to be that guy at a party who'd like play Wonderwall. I'm like, I literally can't, so sorry. But I've never wanted to be that guy, so I never really learned the guitar. But for this, I sort of forced myself to, and like all of the kind of reading and watching and listening and learning that I did around these people and all of that stuff, it's been almost like a sort of little gap year degree for me, which I've loved.
I wanted to ask about next year, because I don't know if you know, but next year could be the greatest year ever for live music.
Yes.
There is a lot happening next year.
There's a lot going on, isn't there?
I realised that Bastille, in theory, turns 15.
Oh, does it?
2010, we believe, you first started doing your little thing.
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
And I just wondered whether or not you were going to join the party next year.
I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not very good at thinking that far ahead, but next year is incredibly soon now. So, yeah, I'm so excited. As a fan, there's so many great shows next year that'll be a lot of fun to go to.
Yeah. Are you an Oasis fan?
Yeah, I think the Oasis shows will be great.
I hear, well, we don't know what it is yet, but I hear there's something bubbling from the Maccabees as well.
I know, yes.
You must live near them, actually.
I do. And I've worked with Hugo a bit as well. He's amazing. Like everyone else, I saw the post go up and thought, that's not a nothing.
Yeah.
Teasing us for nothing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I hope there's some shows next year, and I would absolutely love to go and see them. And Sam Fender, I'm excited for shows as well. And yeah, it's great. It feels like I know it's like a boringly perpetual conversation, but just a really good time for like guitar music and bands, old and new. Yeah, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, right. I want to ask you one final question. We here have a young man by the name of Ed Gamble, who I'm told was in your class at school.
Yeah.
You and Ed went to school together?
We did, yeah.
What was Ed Gamble like at school?
I remember him being a really nice guy. The idea that he would have gone on to be a massively famous comedian is kind of bonkers. Probably as weird as it was. I was like a very odd, awkward and very large kid. So I think probably the idea that I'd go on to be in a band is about as bizarre to him. But he was always really funny.
Lots of people went to your school, actually, didn't they?
Mumford & Sons.
Mumford & Sons were at your school as well, yeah. God, man.
I have a really, like I mentioned, I was a big guy, and I loved food, and I still do. And I used to go to, I have no faith whatsoever, but I used to go to Christian Club on a Wednesday lunchtime, which Marcus Mumford ran, because they used to give out pizza. And I just go for the free pizza and have to sit there through all the prayers and stuff and be like, this is not for me, but the pizza is great and it's bottomless pizza.
That's brilliant.
That was my only knowledge of Marcus at the time. That's the only way I really knew him, but yeah.
Thank you, God, for your gifts and pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, please come back on next year if something happens for Bastille during year 15.
Oh, for sure.
And good luck with the album.
Thank you.
I absolutely love the tune.
Oh, cheers, man. Thanks, man.
That was Dan from Bastille, everybody.